Okay, guys, hello and welcome to Boutique Travel Advisors' first Facebook live stream. We are super excited today. We have Devra with ski.com and Angela Rice and myself, and we are joining you from Scottsdale, Arizona today to talk about this winter ski season. So Devra, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great. Thank you, ladies, so much for having me. We're just starting to think about ski season, so it's perfect timing. I've been with ski.com for almost 3 years now as their director of travel agency sales. So I get to work with great agencies like yours. Before that, I worked for Vail Resorts, which is the largest ski operator in the industry, for about 7 years, also in travel industry sales. I live here in Vail, Colorado. Can't wait for ski season. We had a lot of snow last week. It's kind of melted now, but we are looking forward to putting the skis on and getting going this year.
That's so exciting. So, I guess the big question on everyone's minds is, can we ski this year, and what's that really going to look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Understood. I know everything is different in 2020. Everything is a little bit more challenging. Everyone's trying to navigate travel on their own terms. But we think skiing, of course I think skiing, but is a really great option. So yes, clients, you can ski this year. Come on out. The mountains are calling you, wide open spaces, fresh air. Skiing naturally is an activity where you're masked up and you've got gloves on and your skis are 6 feet, or your snowboard is almost 6 feet anyway. So, to keep a good distance between people.
Right.
So naturally and organically, it's already a great kind of safe outdoor activity. And on a ski vacation, people spend most of their time outside anyway. So yeah, definitely.
Devra, what are the ski resorts doing differently to prepare for ski this season, given the pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, skiing will look a little different this year, again, as everything else does. Resorts are limiting the number of skiers on the mountain. So they're limiting capacities. None of them have released really what those numbers look like. And resorts like Deer Valley have always limited the number of skiers on the mountain. So it's not really that crazy of a phenomenon. Also, with the lack of international visitation and just less people traveling kind of in general, a lot of the resorts do not anticipate reaching any of those max capacities. However, holiday periods, really peak time periods, I would recommend watching out. And if you do want to ski, I would recommend planning that in advance. But yes, people can ski. Resorts will have limited capacities, which though means fewer crowds and less people on the slopes, which will be great.
Right. How far in advance are you recommending, and are you seeing people book now?
Yes. What was the first part of your question? I think I missed it.
How far in advance are you recommending that people book for ski this season?
I mean, if you want to ski, if you want to travel this winter, I would recommend, planning that immediately. So I can get into a little bit of what some of the resorts are doing around reservations right now, which can speak to the advanced planning piece. So Vail Resorts, for example, is the largest ski operator in the industry, and they are requiring reservations on all of their resorts this winter. So, if you want to ski, start planning that now. Oh.
Technical difficulties? No? Okay. Devra's having some technical difficulties, I guess. So, I think it's pretty exciting. And Angie and I know we are both planning trips for our own families and also for clients who want to go skiing this winter. And I think it's really important to remember that even though skiing might look different this year, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't have a really good experience with your family. And like Devra was saying, I think skiing is truly one of the most, for my family, it's one of the most pleasurable and wonderful outdoors activities. Would you agree, Ange? I mean, I think it's just
absolutely. I think it's a great opportunity to take advantage of the slopes being less crowded. I know the approach that my family has taken this year, instead of picking 1 or 2 places or even 3 places to ski, we've decided to focus our attention on Park City so that that first trip will get used to the protocols that are in place at Park City, so that trip number 2 and trip number 3, we can kind of be well aware of what to anticipate. So that, is going to be an easier way for us to just get acclimated to the ski season each time we ski.
Right. And I think it's really important to also remember that even though people are not necessarily traveling from, the U.S. is a huge international destination. So for those of us who ski in Colorado and Utah and other places in Northern California, there's a huge international crowd. And because of the limitations from other countries to enter the U.S., I think that there's going to be a lot fewer international tourists this year. But at the same time, Americans also love to travel internationally to ski in the winter. So I don't necessarily think that there's going to be the slopes are going to have that much fewer visitors overall, because the American visitors who would normally travel internationally, maybe to Europe in the winter, might be coming, staying home and then traveling more domestically. And I just got a message from Devra saying her computer died, so she's plugging it in because, it's 2020 and we all have computer difficulties. So she'll be back on.
I think it's also very interesting to make the decision on, is this the year to stay at a resort, or is this the year to say, hey, let's rent a condo or rent a villa? Because they both offer different types of amenities. And we've seen kind of a trend overall in travel, both domestically to the Caribbean, as well as we anticipate the same for ski towns, that we're going to see more clients wanting to choose the privacy of a villa or a condo where they can eat more meals in and privately than, let's say, dining out.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think, the resorts are doing a really good job. They're trying their best to really make sure that they implement hygiene and sanitation and social distancing standards. And I think masks are going to be required pretty much throughout this entire winter season and the entire ski season for sure. But for people who want to have a more private experience or really don't want to be worried about, do they need to wear a mask? Will the restaurants be open? I definitely think that the villas and the condos are a great way to go. And when Devra hops back on, I think she'll be able to talk to us a little bit about the options that are available with ski.com and renting villas and renting private accommodations. But I think that this year in particular, it's a really good option. But with that said, you also want to be careful, because you don't want to assume that a private accommodation like an Airbnb or a VRBO is going to be adhering to the same safety and hygiene standards that a hotel or a vetted property would.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're muted.
I'm excited to hear the inventory that Devra has available in all of our favorite ski destinations, as well as some of the off the beaten path locations. Their properties are vetted, and you have that added service working, with our agency as well as with ski.com to ensure that we're matching you to the right type of condo, the location, same with a private villa as well.
Right. And I mean, we're going to be skiing. My family's going to be skiing in Park City, and we're going to be skiing in Telluride. And then another destination that I think we would love to go to this winter is going to be Breckenridge, because I think that they generally just do a really good job of social distancing. And I think that the Vail resorts in particular are taking extra measures and extra steps in order to keep things really safe and organized. And I'm just going to check in real quick and see how Devra's doing, because she's supposed to be hopping back on. So maybe Angie can chat for a second.
When you're skiing, the other factor to really consider is whether you have your own equipment or if you're going to be renting equipment. I think more now than ever, if you are renting your equipment, to have that equipment delivered to your accommodations is probably highly recommended. And I know whiskey.com, they provide that service. I've used it myself. I find it to be very convenient. I mean, they size your boots, they size your skis. And there has been a time where, fitting my son who was growing, where they were quick to get a new boot and the ski gear that he needed. So it's a quick turnaround. I think you got to plan for it. But aside from that, if it's your first day, you give yourself a little bit of time to have your ski equipment dropped off at the room. It saves you the convenience, and so especially with social distancing, it's just one less touch point in and out of a retail location to get your.
So Devra, we were just chatting about, Angie was talking about how you guys can provide some ski equipment. We touched on kind of our own personal ski preferences this winter, where we're going to be skiing. Angie and I are both going to be going to Park City and then Telluride and hopefully Breckenridge, but maybe then just hop back into kind of what you guys are doing and what you're seeing, and just give us the trends and the inside scoop.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so sorry about that. I thought my computer was plugged in, but it wasn't. So yeah, so what I was saying was about reservations. Do you want me to kind of hop right back in there?
Sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, so Vail Resort, so a lot of the resorts you just mentioned, actually, Park City, Breckenridge, Vail, Beaver Creek, Whistler, if you can get up to Canada. A lot of those resorts, or all those resorts, are going to require reservations this year, which just requires, again, like we talked about, a little bit more of that advanced planning. We don't anticipate it being very difficult to make reservations, especially if you're an Epic Pass holder. So Epic Pass holders get priority in making their reservations ahead of time. And when I say Epic Pass holder, I don't necessarily mean like a full, unrestricted, unlimited Epic Pass. I mean an Epic Pass product, which can be an Epic 2-day, an Epic 3-day, Epic 4-day, or even an Epic 5-day as well. So basically,
so even those like 2-3-day passes, if you buy them now, you'll be able to then get priority. I know that I think it's opening on Thursday. I have it in my calendar because I want to make sure we're going over New Year's, and I really want to make sure we get on the slopes.
Yeah.
So you recommend people getting like a 2-3-day pass?
Yeah, well, or however many days you're going to ski.
Right, if they can't get the season pass.
Yeah, or if a season pass doesn't work because you're not going to ski that much, 7 or 8 days. If you're only going to ski 3 or 4 days, you don't have to commit to a season pass. You can still get one of those Epic 3-day, Epic 4-day passes and be able to make your priority reservations ahead of time. And yes, that window opens on Friday and it goes through December 8th. And so you can make reservations up to 7 days, or depending on the number of days that you've purchased, for any days in the core season, which is December 8th through April 10th.
Okay, and those include the holiday dates, right? Because regular people who are just buying day passes are not able to register yet, correct?
Correct. They don't even have day passes available. Lift tickets don't go on sale until after that reservation window closes. So lift tickets go on sale December 8th, or they're set to go on sale December 8th.
Okay, so then just tell us a little bit more. I mean, what can we expect about dining? What can we expect about the hotels? What are we really looking at? What's it going to look like this year? Do you know, or do we even know yet?
I mean, yeah, I don't have a crystal ball, and in 2020, it's hard to know what anything will look like. However, I will say that the mountain towns and mountain resorts saw incredible visitation this summer, record-breaking visitation in some areas, especially Jackson Hole and a lot of these areas in Colorado where I live. People just wanted to get out, right? They wanted to get out of New York and out of Florida and out of Texas and out of LA, out of these big cities, and get to the mountains and be able to have some outdoor time. So what that means is that a lot of the resorts have had, in the hotels and dining outlets, have had a lot of time to prepare and really dial in their processes and protocols and things that they need to be doing to keep people safe, but also to provide a good guest experience. So I think that all the hotels and lodges, et cetera, are all really well prepared for this winter. Of course, you don't have as much outdoor capacity in the winter as you do in the summer. So that presents a little bit of a challenge, but I know that a lot of areas are or the on mountain lodges are doing grab and goes, or they are expanding their outdoor seating by adding tenting and heat lamps and more fire
So we are
pits.
going to have food available on the mountain.
There will be stuff available on the mountain. I think the restaurants, of course, will again be limited capacity for sit down. A lot of the lodges will change to the grab and go. And with, again, trying to add as much outdoor capacity, unless it's a really bad snowstorm. I think people do enjoy sitting outdoors and on the mountains. And then also the ski in, ski out villa style accommodations are becoming even more popular this year, because families and groups who have a ski in, ski out condo can ski back to their condo, have lunch there, have a snack, have hot chocolate, warm up, and then go back onto the slopes pretty easily. So I think with all of those options, and just given the less amount of people that will be on the mountain, I think it'll be a good experience.
So we should all still go skiing this year.
Yes, definitely. I think skiing is a great way to get out this winter.
Devra, can you talk about the advantages of working with ski.com?
Yeah, absolutely. At ski.com, I think the obvious thing is that we're a one-stop shop. So everything from accommodations to transfers, lift tickets, rental equipment, ski school, airfare. We can package airfare as well. Any of the other activities and things that you would want to do that aren't skiing, we can help you there as well. So it's a one-stop shop. We can put everything together for you. But beyond that, I think the real value is our team of mountain travel experts. They average 20 years of experience and have firsthand knowledge of all the destinations that they sell. And there's a lot of choices out there when it comes to a ski vacation, not only deciding where you want to go, but once you're there, how many days should I ski? How many days should I do lessons? Should I get my rental equipment delivered, or is it easier just to pick it up in the store? All of these things it's a lot easier when you have an expert on your side and someone who can really guide you and kind of help you create the best experience for you, because everyone's different and everyone's looking for something else.
You touched
Can you
on
talk a little bit? Sorry. Can you talk a little bit about some of the? I mean, Angie and I chatted that we're planning to go to Park City and Telluride and Breckenridge. So those are kind of the, some big name resorts. But what are some of the resorts that you guys are recommending or you're seeing are becoming more popular that are a little bit more off the beaten path that may not be on people's, top 3 radar?
Yeah, that's a great question. With Vail Resorts and with the Epic Pass and the Icon Pass and all those smaller resorts kind of, joining together, there's a lot of those off the beaten path resorts are harder to find these days. But I think, I guess what I would consider off the beaten path and maybe what some people would consider off the beaten path is a little different. But, resorts in like Big Sky in Montana, they're doing a great job. There are no reservations required this year, and they have a huge amount of terrain. So, size works in their favor because they're a little bit more off the beaten path in Montana and not,
Right.
Colorado or Utah, which are the main areas. Plus they're huge still. So people can really spread out and have a great experience in Big Sky. I think that, Lake Tahoe is a little bit off the beaten path, especially in the winter. They have a variety of great resorts right along the lake and a little bit further off the lake as well. So there's something in Tahoe for everyone. Plus you have the scenery of the lake. And then, New Mexico, I think Taos is a really cool resort for more advanced expert skiers. And it's, for that kind of southwest corner, even Texas, Arizona, it's a drivable resort. So I think that's a cool one too.
I like actually one of my favorite that's a little bit more off the beaten path is Keystone. I think it's a great family resort. I've skied there with my kids and absolutely love it. I think their glade skiing is some of the best.
Definitely.
So I think you had some presentation slides. I don't know if you want to share some of those with us.
Yeah, I will. So let's see, because I joined on my phone just so I could get my computer up and running and not keep you all waiting. So now I'll just join real quick through the computer so I can share.
Okay, perfect.
My slides. There we go.
Remembering our ski trip to Keystone, I loved the wagons where the kids each grabbed a wagon.
Isn't that great?
Remember
Such a
that and carried
great
all their
idea.
stuff. They actually were more independent because they had fun each carrying their own ski gear in the wagons. And I think there was a Facebook page where you can go and take pictures of the lost wagons because they end up pretty much everywhere around Keystone.
Definitely.
Front of restaurants, at the bottom of the ski slope.
That is great. Like
So
families
cute.
to be able to just, instead of lugging everything, just throw everything in the wagon, including the kids sometimes. Okay.
Yeah, and I think some of the other ones, I also really like Copper Mountain. I think Copper is a great family mountain, but I think they also have some great, yeah, I'm adding it. How are we doing?
We're good. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, so Copper is another one of my favorites. I think it's a little bit more off the beaten path, a little bit. I mean, it's not off the beaten path really, but it's I don't think it gets quite as busy as some of the mountains around.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely as a destination resort as well. People don't think of it, but the mountain is, I love skiing Copper. It's such a great mountain. There's a lot of awesome terrain. And just this year, or no, last year, I think it was, they, on the back side of the mountain, there used to be all this terrain that you could access with a snowcat. So you had to, get in the snowcat and they would take you up to this terrain and you get like one run in. Now they put a lift back there. So there's all this brand new terrain that's accessible via lift that was never accessible before. So it's really fun. It's more like an intermediate advanced terrain. It's really cool. I love when resorts expand terrain. I think it's a great thing. All right, so let me share some of this stuff with you guys. You already asked a lot of these questions already, so I'll kind of just jump in a little bit.
That's perfect. I mean, I really can't wait. From Arizona, we had the hottest summer this year, and with everything going on, honestly, I think skiing is just going to be like the best type of family getaway, and just a girls getaway, a guys weekend. I think it's just the best way to kind of built in social distancing, outdoor time. You're really, most of the time, if you're skiing or snowboarding, you're outside anyway, naturally. And I think for this winter, it's going to just be the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. And what I'll get into right now is that, you don't have to be a skier even, or a passionate skier or a good skier to enjoy a winter vacation in the mountains. And I think this year, especially more than other years, with people not being able to really, not being as comfortable with traveling internationally, and some destinations not being open yet, and people not maybe being comfortable going on cruises, they might be looking for an alternative this winter. And I would encourage everyone not to shy away from a ski vacation because they're not a skier, because they've never been a skier. There's so much more to do in the mountains than just ski. And these towns and these villages are filled with really great shops and restaurants and fun activities. There's fly fishing in winter, and snowmobiling, and all sorts of fun things for families and girlfriends or whoever you're traveling with to do. So don't count a ski vacation out because you're not a skier. But yeah, at ski.com, we can put together all kinds of packages, of course, curated to whatever you want, however long, whatever type of trip you're looking for. Our bread and butter is family, of course. So many people love to go on family vacations for good reason. I mean, I went on family vacations as a kid, and now I've made a career out of skiing. So I'm really grateful to my family for taking me on ski vacations. And there are some resorts, like you said, Keystone, really great resort that's super family focused and really dedicated to the family experience. Beaver Creek is the one I have pictured here, is another great family resort. Deer Valley, all of those resorts are really, again, like I said, focused on that family experience. I think any ski destination is a great family trip, but there are some resorts that are just really laser focused on creating that good family
So
experience.
Devra, I guess the question is, what makes a ski resort a great family ski resort?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, I mean, certain services like Keystone, you mentioned, Kids Ski Free, for example. I mean, they also
A lot
have,
of people probably don't know that at all.
yes, kids 12 and under, and they are doing it. They did just announce that they're doing it again this winter. So kids 12 and under ski for free at Keystone when staying at Vail Resorts lodging, which is about 80% of the lodging there. So it's not that hard to stay in a Vail Resorts owned and operated property. But yeah, 12 and under, no blackout dates, you know, no red tape, nothing. It's pretty straightforward policy, which is great. And they have a lot of great kid stuff. They have a whole like Kidtopia up on top of the mountain, which is a big igloo, and all sorts of like fun kids activities on top of the mountain, which I always think is a great amenity for kids. They're not stuck at the bottom of the mountain at the base at ski school or doing kid things. You know, they can ride the gondola with their family up to the top of the mountain and really feel like they're kind of taking in the mountain landscape.
And they have a great ski school as well.
Yeah, that is probably a big number one thing beyond, you know, Kids Ski Free and activities that they have is the ski school. How robust is their program? You know, how recommended are their instructors? And I think places like Keystone, Beaver Creek, and Deer Valley have really elevated or raised the bar when it comes to kids ski school. Other things too, like activities throughout the week. I mean, Beaver Creek, another good example is they serve chocolate chip cookies every afternoon at 3 p.m. for people coming off the lifts, which as a kid, you imagine how amazing that would be and how that sticks in your memory. Resorts that do fireworks once a week, I think throughout the winter, it's another great family amenity, which is really fun. So things like that. And services, village, like Keystone has a great village area for kids. It's a pedestrian village. They can kind of run around a little bit and you don't have to worry too much about them straying off. Beaver Creek is the same way, where it's just a small little pedestrian village. You're not have to worry about traffic and getting lost. It's not overwhelming. So I think that also plays a part in making it a family-focused ski destination.
What other types of, I mean, I know family's a huge one, but what if people are not necessarily traveling with their family or they're looking for something a little bit different, like a wellness trip? Like what other types of trips can we, when we think ski vacation, can we really look at?
Yeah, well, I'll keep going with the slides here. Luxury ski, that's something that we can do. We work with all the best suppliers and world-class vendors, hotels, and just create a world-class ski vacation. When we think of luxury, we're really thinking of whatever it is that you crave. You know, if that's, a mountaintop dinner, if that is just a world-class spa, if that is just incredible, well-appointed accommodations, maybe luxury for you is exclusive access to get on the trails first thing in the morning before they open to the public. You know, that's stuff that we can help you with. And I think that luxury is something that means something different to everyone these days. But we think it just is anything that you crave, we can help deliver that. So a luxury ski vacation is something we do. You mentioned wellness as well. And this kind of also—
That's my idea of luxury. I want to be in that way.
Right? And this is in Chamonix. Or no, I'm sorry, this is in Courchevel. But yeah, I think going back to what I said earlier too about you don't have to be a skier to enjoy this scene here, right? I mean, the mountains just naturally offer such a landscape to reset and recharge and to get outdoors. And whether you're skiing or you're sitting in a hot tub or you're on snowshoes or just ride a gondola up to
playing in the snow. I mean, it's so beautiful to just sit there with like a cup of hot chocolate or a glass of wine and just watch the beauty of nature. I mean, it's just so rejuvenating, like you said. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you really can connect with nature. I think we all need a little bit of reset and recharge after a couple months that we've had.
Devra, for someone who's looking for that combination of spa, luxury, R&R, maybe it's a romantic getaway, certainly they're going to ski. I mean, what are 2, 3, ultra luxury resorts that you recommend?
Yeah. Well, and if we're talking about the States in the US, I would say Deer Valley is known for being ultra luxe because of the accommodations they have. They have St. Regis, Montage, Stein Eriksen, all right there. So the majority of their accommodations are ultra luxe. Aspen, of course, is another great ultra luxe wellness. There's just this great like intellectual arts culture side to Aspen that I think is unique about Aspen, which ties into the wellness piece as well, I think. And then, I mean, if you're going to Europe, Courchevel, St. Moritz,
maybe next winter.
Yeah, next winter, definitely. And then in Whistler, I mean, I think up in Canada, if the border opens there, I think there's some really great options in Whistler, the Fairmont, the Four Seasons as well.
We aspire to go to those places, if not this year, next year.
Yep, next year. And it's not too early to start planning next year's vacation either. Another type of ski vacation we can help you curate is for your adventure seekers or thrill seekers. We work with a lot of heli skiing operators and backcountry guides, or even just faraway lodges. If you want to get off the grid and really want to get out there in nature, there's definitely a nice, like we talked about, sitting by the fire and being cozy, whether you're doing that in a more populated, in a nice hotel, in a village area of a ski resort, or you can really get off the grid and do the same thing. So we do work with some really great like all-inclusive style lodges that do heli skiing and backcountry guides, and or even within some of these other resorts that are more popular, there are great helicopter skiing options or cat skiing options where a snow cat can take you up to parts of the resort that aren't accessible via a chairlift. So even if you want to go to a Vail or an Aspen but want a little bit of adventure, we can help with that together.
I have a question for you, because this has been something that's been on my bucket list forever, but I think that there's this, I don't know if it's a misconception or if it's a fact, that you have to be an expert skier in order to participate in these sort of experiences. Yeah. Can you speak to that? I mean, what level of skiing do you have to be able to do something like this?
Yeah, I would say it depends on the operator and where you're going in the terrain, but a lot of the operators that we work with offer intermediate to advanced. The hardest part about like helicopter skiing or cat skiing isn't the terrain necessarily. It's not that it's usually really steep or it's easy to avoid really steep slopes. It's more just skiing powder and being used to skiing powder, which it presents its own set of challenges, right? But usually these operators will give you all the right gear that you need, right? The right type of ski. You need a little bit of a wider ski to be able to stay on the surface and not sink down into the snow.
It's the greatest feeling, but it's also the most frustrating when you sink down to try to get back up.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I grew up skiing my whole life on the East Coast in New England, and then I moved to Colorado, and I had to kind of teach myself again. It was like a little bit of a learning curve, even though I'd been skiing my whole life, because the snow is so different. And so you just got to get used to like your body position and all of it. But there, the operators or the guides, they're also like, they're instructors. They'll teach you how to have the best experience. They'll show you by example. They'll make you feel safe. They'll make sure you're having fun.
What's usually the minimum age to do something like this?
Again,
12, 14?
Yeah, depending on ability. I mean, if you're a ribbon skier and you're 12 years old, I think you can do it. I think it's more based on ability than age. doubt I would see anyone younger than 12 on a helicopter.
Okay. Well, I'm putting that on my bucket list for when my kids are old enough. They're better
Yeah.
skiers than me already, so.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Well, kids, that's why I think I had an advantage. I learned to ski when I was, 3 or 4 years old, and you have no fear.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say that for me, for my children, the best investment we ever made was putting them in ski school and consistently putting them in ski school every year for many years, every trip. Even when they got old enough and they could ski well enough even to be able to ski better than us, we still put them in ski school. And I think it just gives them so much confidence having those instructors at places like Breck and Park City and Keystone and Telluride and Whistler. I mean, I think that the ski schools there are just top notch, and it really gives them so much confidence to then be able to have the freedom to do these amazing trips and feel like, oh, my kids got it. Like, they're not going to be afraid. We're going to have an amazing family experience.
Yeah, that is great. And there's always stuff to learn. I mean, skiing is a constant evolution. I mean, especially if they're lucky enough to be able to do ski school at all these different places, I'm sure they learn something different from every single one of those experiences and each different instructor.
And I think this season we might see a rise in families doing private lessons. I know that's worked really well for my family, where we hire a private instructor for the day. We'll ski a couple hours as a family, and then we'll take that instructor, and the instructor will spend, an hour with my oldest and then an hour with my youngest, and the two of them are at very different ski levels. And so it really creates the opportunity for one-on-one. And usually I'll take an hour or so with the ski instructor by myself as well, and then we'll regroup as a family. So I think that's a great option right now. Definitely. To look at private lessons as a family in addition to ski school.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially this year. Also, when you have a private instructor, you get to skip all the chairlift lines.
Absolutely.
And to have that private guide, it's like a twofer, where you have somebody to take you around the mountain and show you around the different terrain and different runs, and to point things out to you and to instruct you and to make you a better skier. So
yeah, it's a great way to spend your first day at the slopes, because they can really show you around, and then register the kids the next day for ski school.
Yeah, no, that's a great option. And I think this year, at least at Copper Mountain, for example, they aren't offering group lessons, unfortunately. They are only offering private, but they've lowered the cost to make it more accessible.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's a great opportunity to maybe take a private lesson when before it's like it might not be worth it, because they tend to be pricier. But if it's a lower cost this year, it's a great opportunity to really see what the benefits of private lessons.
So I want to give you, Devra, the opportunity to run through more of your slides, and then also, because we're running, a little bit lower on time, we have a few other questions that we've had people reach out and want us to ask you to address. So I'll give you some time to run through these, and then maybe we can take some questions.
Yeah, and we've already discussed a lot of these. Can your client ski? Will it look different? We talked about that. Will it be safe? We did talk about that. Enjoyable? Yes. What are the most important things that you should know when planning your ski vacation? I think that's kind of what I want to get into. So I'll skip ahead a little bit here and talk about some of the most important takeaways when planning a ski trip this year, which again, we already touched on this a little bit, but advanced purchase, at least advanced planning. I think I want to change that to, instead of advanced purchase, definitely advanced planning, more important this year than previous years. I think there's just a lot of questions that people have, and a lot of preferences and needs and expectations going into this year and going into traveling this winter, that the more you have time to work through those, we'll be able to help you choose a destination that will be able to meet all the things that you're looking for and all the things that you want in a ski vacation. Don't wait on lift tickets this year. I think in the past it's been an afterthought. You've taken care of your lodging, you've taken care of your airfare, and then we'll get the rental equipment and the lift tickets a little later on. This year, depending on where you're skiing, lift tickets, advanced purchase lift tickets are essentially like securing your time on the mountain or making a reservation on the mountain. Or if you're skiing at a Vail Resort property, then you need to think about getting an Epic Pass in the next 3 days so that you can make your advanced reservations. So that is.
And I love that you mentioned that you don't need to have like the local pass or the full season pass. You really can just do like 3, 4, 5 day lift tickets.
Correct.
Count an Epic Pass.
Yeah, I think that's a really important piece of it, because people think, I guess I just won't go because I don't want to buy a whole Epic Pass. But you don't have to commit to the unlimited unrestricted. There's a variety of different pass products, including just the day passes that would work.
Perfect.
I think having flexibility when choosing a destination, sometimes, you get your heart set on a certain resort that you want to go to, but then once you go through this planning process, you realize, oh no, maybe they're not doing lessons this year. They don't have any daycare options, and that's really important to us. So having the flexibility to kind of shift and pivot and consider a different destination that does have those services this year, I think is important. And then using an expert. So, using a travel advisor, working with partners like ski.com that can really help you navigate the whole process and make it really easy, a lot easier than trying to figure all this out yourself. I mean, you guys have great relationships. We have great relationships with our
We love working
partners.
with you guys. It's fantastic. It makes all the difference. And for us to really put together these like seamless, curated, for me, luxury means stress-free. Like that's my definition of luxury, So to help our clients put together a stress-free ski trip, especially in 2020 when everything is kind of haywire, I think is huge.
Yeah. Yep. So definitely always recommend using an expert.
And Devra, obviously with this season being, there are travelers that are a little more apprehensive to plan. Are you seeing flexibility in terms and conditions this year in comparison to normal times?
Yeah, that's a great question, Angie. Yes, and we are seeing we're passing through all of the policies from the resorts and from the hotels. I will say that with Epic, since we've been talking mostly about Epic Pass too, is Epic coverage comes with the purchase of any Epic product and covers the traveler in the event that the resort has to shut down, that the traveler can't travel due to any COVID related, issues, or if they've got the Epic Pass, they go on to make their reservation over Christmas and they can't get on, they can't make the reservation, it's sold out. In that case, you're also covered. So Epic has a really great coverage policy. And then when it comes to the lodging and hotels, we're seeing like across the board a variety of different policies. Something that we've done at ski.com is tag or flag what we consider the most flexible so that we can easily filter or pull those ones up if that's what's important to the client, is to be able to get a 14-day window or a 7-day window. We can pull up those more flexible policies, and they do exist, yes.
And I think that's big, especially when you try to compare. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'll just go on Airbnb or VRBO and book a property. A lot of those have actually very strict cancellation policies, and they're not necessarily, because they're not tied to the mountain and they're not tied to a hotel, you can't really get a refund, right? So how is it different if we wanted to book a condo or a villa style property with you guys? How does that differ from somebody just going online and booking it on Airbnb?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, we only work with professional management companies who we've worked with for a long time. So we have great relationships with the management companies that we work with. We have firsthand knowledge of their product, so we know what to expect when selling their product. We know how to manage those expectations when selling their product. And with those professional management companies, you are more protected than on Airbnb and VRBO. You don't know who is putting that listing out there. And especially if it's just a homeowner or second homeowner that's just doing it themselves, they can come up with any policy they want to. They're not held accountable by Airbnb or VRBO or anyone. And a lot of times, especially what we saw this year is they had already realized that money that was on the books once it was became non-refundable, and they made the decision not to give it back, and they don't have the ability to give any credit. So you're just way more protected when working with professional management companies, which is who we work with.
Yeah, and we appreciate that, and that's huge for us. Like, we only recommend our clients work with professional vetted properties in general, and especially during COVID, because a professional management company, those accommodations are held to a higher standards in terms of hygiene and cleanliness, as well as protection, consumer protection.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have anything else that, I mean, other takeaways or things that people should really know that, I mean, questions you guys are seeing, misconceptions out there? Like, what is kind of like a big key thing that you want to share?
Yeah, I think maybe misconception around the reservations or limited capacity on the mountain. I think people might think that will have more of an impact on their experience than it actually will. I mean, we truly believe that those who want to ski this year decide on a destination that works for them and secure their time on the mountain. And I think they might even have a better time than they have in the past with the less people and fewer crowds there. So, just don't get put off by some of these protocols and guidelines that you may see. It's easy to navigate, especially when you're working with a trusted partner and an expert.
And I agree with you 100%. I think some of these will actually make the experience much more enjoyable, especially if you can get your reservation, get everything set up, have the peace of mind that you know you're getting on that mountain, and having, limited number of people. Really, I mean, as a skier, for me, that's one of my biggest pet peeves is when the mountain is packed and the lines are long and you can't get on. This year, we're really not going to be seeing a lot of that. So it's maybe going to be a fantastic year. Let's just hope the snow is good.
I know. Yeah, I know. Like, we'll see about the snow. I think, the snow's always good enough. It's never, I've been here in Colorado 10 years, and I think maybe one season I was a little bit disappointed. But besides that, I mean, the snow's always good. I wish we could go back to the days when that's all we had to worry about was the snow.
It was so great having you. I mean, Angie and I are both so grateful that we can partner with you guys. And I think, just answer a lot of these questions. And as things come up, of course, we're happy to, reach out to you guys. And if anyone wants to reach out to us and, drop questions, we'll do our best to answer them as well.
Absolutely. Thank you both for having me. This has been a lot of fun and just a great opportunity to encourage more people to come skiing this winter. So thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Of course.
We'll see you on the slopes.
Yeah, see you on the slope.
Thank you.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments, message us, email us. You can reach us at info@travelbta.com, and we will do our best to answer them and to get back to you. Thank you guys.
Bye.